Okay, so part 2 bar chord video. Alright, so this time we're going to be talking about the actual chords themselves, right? So as I said in the last one, the ones we're going to be doing are A minor, A major, E minor, E major. Okay, now as I said, now that's not at all to say that, you can't bar whatever you like, but those two, A and E of both major and minor, for me are, first of all, the easiest to get started on, and second, probably the most useful as well in terms of covering the entire fretboard. So let's get straight into it. So let's say we want a B minor chord, okay? Fairly common chord that you'll find in, any given genre, okay? So now B minor doesn't have its own shape, so you need to take some other minor chord and bring it up to a point where it becomes B minor. So if we go for A minor first. Now, there's A minor. So we switch it around, so middle finger goes to where the first finger was, third finger goes to where middle finger was, fourth finger goes to where third finger was. So it should sound the same. Now, so like in the last time we were saying that you go A sharp, B. There's a sharp after every one with the exception of B and E, okay? So A sharp, B. Bar goes down because we've gone up 2, so the bar goes down on the 2nd fret. There we go. So there's B minor by taking A minor up 2. Now that's by no means, so the point of this is that that's not the only way to play B minor, but that's the first way we're going to do. So we'll just have a quick look at this particular one. Now, A minor generally starts on the A string, not the E string. Usually chords sound better. This might be kind of a subjective thing, but chords generally sound better when the lowest note in the chord has the same name as the chord. So if you got an A minor chord, you want an A minor to be the lowest note in the chord. If you leave in the E note, it's okay, that there's nothing terribly wrong with it because the note of E is in the chord of A minor. There's an E note, and there's an E note. So it's not wrong necessarily, but it's just generally better to get the thumb over, block that out, and got A minor nice and clean. So if it's true for this position of A minor, then it must be true for this one as well. So here, you don't have to cover up all 6 strings, okay? 5 will do. Now, the only problem is there that you don't want that E note ringing up, because again, now our B minor chord is going to be starting with an E note, and we don't want that. We want it to start with this B note. So here, if you hold it in such a way that you're covering these 5 strings, but this one, you're touching it, okay? Kind of muting it, blocking it basically. That's what you want, okay? Chord goes down. Now, obviously you hear something when I hit it on its own, but if you strum the whole thing, you don't really hear it. It's basically taken out of the equation altogether. Now, when you bring your shape up first, okay, what tends to happen is this. Okay, it's very difficult to kind of keep it firm enough so that you can just drag it up and it maintains its shape. Okay, so when you get up there, just go through the usual things of, that you would for any normal chord. Making sure it's right up to the fret. Making sure your fingers are curved out the way, not in the way like that. You want to be curved out the way, not like that. So, curving them the right way. Now, particularly with this particular shape here, the third finger, you really got to make an effort to get that one up to the fret, because obviously the little finger's in the way. So it's really just being aware of it is the main thing. So just get that right up there. Bar comes in, turn it over, roll it over to its side, make sure it's parallel to the fret, right up there. A lot of different things to consider, a lot of different things you got to get right to get that sweet spot where they're all coming out nice and clean. So there we go. Now, so once you got that, and at first try not to be too picky about it. I know it's annoying when you get this kind of, and you're, struggling to get it in there. Don't worry you want to get it right, but don't worry too much about that, because as your hand gets stronger, and it will get stronger doing this sort of stuff, those kind of things will iron themselves out largely. Now, if it's really, if you're only getting 1 or 2 strings to ring out properly, obviously kind of work through it a bit more and see if you can get more than that. So once you've got that, start moving it places. But remember the theory side of it as well, okay? Don't forget that. So if you're B minor here, what are you on if you take it up by 3 frets? Well, there's no B sharp, so the next one up is C minor, C sharp minor, D minor. And you can hear it as well. So if I just play the D minor without this string, this high string, and then I play the normal D minor, it's the same thing. So up again, D sharp minor, E minor. Okay, so there's the A minor shape taken up. Now, let's say you want a fairly common chord to go with B minor would be F sharp minor. Now, here's where you run into a problem with only being able to bar one chord of a certain type, in this case minor. So if we want to get A minor to F sharp minor, then so here's B minor. Now, one little point as well when it comes to music theory is that it's really important in music theory to find out more from what you already know. Use what you already know to find out more. So, for example, instead of going to the trouble of counting from A minor, use the fact that we already said that up here is D minor. Just continue it on from there. So D, D sharp, E, no E sharp, so straight to F, F sharp minor. Now, this may or may not be a problem, but that's pretty high up on the fretboard. We're on the 9th, we're barring on the 9th fret now. So you don't necessarily want to be put down here, B minor, and then, you don't always want to make a big jump like that. So it makes sense to have another shape that you don't have to bring so far up to get that chord. So now comes E minor. So there's E minor normally. Switch it around so your 2 little fingers, so not these 2. You're going to have to sort of stretch back, so it's going to be your 3rd and 4th fingers, okay? Take that up, 1, so E minor, no E sharp, so straight to F minor, F sharp minor, we've brought it up 2 frets, so the bar goes on the 2nd fret. And with this one, you're barring all 6 strings, and again, bring your finger up past the fretboard, okay? You're going to be a lot weaker here than you are here. You've got much more leverage there. So get up as high as you can on it while still being able to hold down the chord. And now, so for any minor chord, you're covered, right? So let's say C sharp minor, there, F minor, G minor, B minor, C minor, and you can go anywhere on the fretboard you want. But when you do move around the fretboard, just know where you are. It's fine to, kind of take the chords and just, have a bit of fun with it. But it's important as well to just kind of, if I take this one, this E minor shape up here, what chord is that? So it's E minor, so E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A sharp B, C. That's C minor there. Okay, so majors then. So we'll start off with E major. So I generally don't consider the chord of F to be one of the basic chords. F is a bar chord, really. So you can kind of do, there's this version of it, where you hold down both of them here like this. Usually what I tend to do a lot of the time is just replace it with F major 7 with that open E string there, because it's just much easier, and usually it works well as a substitute. But let's do F properly, right? So if we take E major, so there's E major, it's just basically A minor up a string. Do the usual trick of switching it around so that the index finger is free, up a fret, no E sharp, so straight up to F. And again, with the E, because this is an E shape, we're starting on the E string, so all 6 are barred. So go right up there on it. And there it is. Okay, so now, let's say we want D, or D sharp, let's say. Yeah, D sharp major, right? So that would mean, I won't count it through, but basically that would put us all the way up here. So again, we need another shape to make sure we don't have to go that far up the fretboard if we don't want to. So A is the next one. Now this one's a bit different and a little bit more difficult as well. So instead of playing A like this or like this, I generally play it like this. But if that's common enough as well. 6 of 1, I suppose. But I generally do recommend this way of playing it, just for the record there, because this way of playing it forces your first finger all the way back here. And as we were saying, the further back it is from the fret, the more likely that's going to happen. So Instead, though, we're going to do it like this. So we're blocking this one. Well, that's better. Now we're going open A, block. So we don't want to hear this string either, right? We don't want it on the second fret as well. That's A6, and that's a different chord. So you kind of have to bend your finger in the way like that. That's generally something you want to avoid, but for here, it works. So again, block, block, block. Now we take that up to D sharp. So that'll be A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp. And then the first finger comes in here. Block. Okay, make sure that one's blocked. You don't want that. Okay, that's a different chord. Now for this one, you can either use your first finger like we did in the B minor to block it, or you can get the middle finger, touch it that way. Good example of this is Just by Radiohead. So it's basically a power chord. That's a power chord, and then when you add this, it becomes a major chord. So there it is. So you're pretty much covered there. Any major or minor chord you could possibly want from A to G sharp is somewhere within the first 5 to 7 frets of your fretboard. It's all in here, right? You don't have to go flying up here. There are other shapes you can bar, like C major, for example, is quite a bit more difficult, but doable. Now, I was talking about the caged system as well, and why I'm not a huge fan of it. Basically, the idea is C, A, G, E, D, right? So if you take a C chord here, and you want to know what's the next chord shape I need to get another C chord. So C, A. So we take A, bring it up 3 frets. There's C. C, A, G. There's our next shape. Now so we're going up. We take a G. Play it so that our index finger is free, and there we go. Now, so a couple of problems with the cage system. Number one, it doesn't take major chords into account, so there's no C shape. Well, I mean, technically you could do that, but I mean, that's more difficult than the bar chord version. So it doesn't work for minors. Second, C-A-G. Now, in all my time of playing, I have never found it necessary to bar a G shape. That's as you can hear, it's doable, but it's very awkward. Why do that when you could just take your E shape up here and get the same thing? Another reason is if you're able to do if you have enough understanding of music theory to be able to do the things that the cage system requires you to do, and the physical ability to actually get them down, then you're already at a point where you don't need the cage system. So that's why I generally don't really have much time for it. So if you just start off on E, A, both major and minor, and just learn your way through the fretboard. Because again, you're not going to have, if you count up like this, let's say you want to get a D sharp chord, let's just a random one. Out of this, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp. You're not going to have to do that for very long. Soon you'll just know, well, I know D is here, so D sharp must be here. Okay? Another random one, A sharp. Well, I know that this one here is A because it sounds the same as the A string, so A sharp must be just one up from that. So again, using what you already know to find out more. So, that's about it when it comes to bar chords. So now this same logic applies across the board with other chord shapes, but again, E and A, major and minor, is definitely the best way to start. So just a good exercise would be to pick completely random major or minor chords and see if you can find them. You know, preferably 2 different ways as well, using the E and the A shape. Couple of examples to get you going on this are the one I played at the start of part 1, which was C sharp minor, that's A minor taking up 4 frets, G sharp minor, that's E minor taking up 4 frets, A major, that's E major shape taking up 5 frets, and then E major, which is A, taking up 7. And the beauty of it is, you could do it, so you can do it in C sharp minor, or you could do it in D minor, or D sharp minor. And no one is really any more difficult than the other, with the exception of the fact that the frets get a bit wider, but you know, whatever. So bar chords are really difficult, but as you can see, they just open up the entire fretboard for you. You can play any major or minor chord at all with that. So yeah, put together a few chord progressions as well. One more thing is that when you're doing the normal chords here, nothing wrong with them, obviously, they're popular because they work, but most of the chord progressions you get are kind of normal sounding, right? With these, you start putting them together in weird ways, you get sort of all these strange moods. Or one of my favorites is... So there are certain sounds and vibes you can get moving chords around the fretboard this way that you just can't get with the regular ones. So there's that, and just being able to play chords anywhere you like on the fretboard. So have a go of it. See you again.